Once upon a time, in the heart of the lush and sprawling Pinecone Forest, there lived a majestic and wise grizzly bear named Barnaby. Barnaby was unlike any other bear in the forest. He wasn't just known for his impressive size and strength. He was renowned for his generous and kind-hearted nature. Barnaby's den was nestled beneath the towering pines, and he shared his home with various woodland creatures. He had a cozy nook for a family of rabbits, a high-up ledge for a pair of squirrel brothers, and even a snug corner for a skunk family. Barnaby welcomed them all, and together, they formed an unusual but harmonious family. Barnaby believed in the power of sharing, and he hoped to teach this valuable lesson to the forest's other inhabitants. In the Pinecone Forest, there were several animals who were far less generous than Barnaby. Among them was a raccoon named Rascal. Rascal was known for his cunning and greed. He lived in a burrow he dug deep into the earth, and he hoarded all sorts of treasures he'd stolen from his fellow creatures. Shiny pebbles, glittering acorns, and even a shiny golden button that had once belonged to a very distraught squirrel. One sunny morning, as the forest woke up to the chirping of birds and the rustling of leaves, Barnaby gathered his small friends around him. "Today, my dear forest companions," he boomed in his deep yet gentle voice, "we shall venture into the forest and teach our fellow creatures the importance of sharing." The rabbit family, the squirrel brothers, and the skunk family all nodded in agreement. They knew that Barnaby's wisdom was invaluable, and they were eager to spread the message of generosity. As the group ventured deeper into the forest, they encountered a group of birds squabbling over a juicy worm. Barnaby, with his towering presence, approached the scene. "Why are you quarreling, dear birds?" he asked. One of the birds, a colorful finch, replied, "We found this plump worm and we can't decide who should have it." Barnaby smiled and said, "Ah, I see. Instead of squabbling, how about you share the worm? Each of you can have a small piece, and you'll all benefit." The birds looked at each other, considering Barnaby's words. Eventually, they agreed to share the worm, and a sense of harmony washed over them, as they each enjoyed their fair share. The forest creatures continued their journey, and everywhere they went, Barnaby would impart his wisdom about sharing. They encountered a family of chipmunks arguing over a nut, a pair of beavers in a disagreement over building materials, and even a family of deer having a tiff over a patch of tender grass. In each case, Barnaby's gentle guidance encouraged the animals to share, and they discovered the joy of cooperation and generosity. The forest seemed to bloom with newfound harmony, and the creatures began to understand the significance of sharing in their lives. However, not everyone was willing to embrace this newfound lesson. Rascal the raccoon had been observing the group from the shadows, and his mischievous eyes glittered with curiosity. He couldn't believe that these animals were willingly parting with their belongings. In his mind, sharing was for fools, and he wasn't about to be one. Rascal slinked away, plotting a devious plan. He was determined to prove that sharing was for the weak, and that his way, the way of hoarding and greed, was the only path to success. That night, as the forest settled into its nightly routine, Rascal began to execute his scheme. He sneaked into the rabbit family's burrow and stole their precious collection of wildflowers. He took the squirrel brothers' prized pinecone collection and snatched the skunk family's cherished berry stash. Rascal piled his ill-gotten treasures in his burrow, feeling smug and victorious. The next morning, when Barnaby's small friends discovered their missing possessions, they were heartbroken. The rabbits were in tears, the squirrel brothers were devastated, and the skunk family was outraged. They couldn't understand how someone could be so heartless. Barnaby gathered them around and said, "My dear friends, it seems we have encountered a creature who has yet to learn the importance of sharing. Let us not be discouraged by this act of selfishness. Instead, let us show Rascal the power of generosity and compassion." With determination in their hearts, the group set out to find Rascal and teach him the true meaning of sharing. They tracked him to his burrow, where they found the stolen treasures piled high. Barnaby, with his immense strength, cleared a path to Rascal's burrow and called him out. Rascal, feeling cornered, emerged from his burrow. "What do you want?" he hissed, trying to hide his unease. Barnaby, ever patient and wise, said, Rascal, we have come to talk to you about sharing. We believe that even the most selfish creature can learn the joy of giving to others. We invite you to share these treasures with our friends and experience the happiness it brings. Rascal scowled and retorted, I will never share. These treasures are mine, and no one else can have them. Barnaby sighed and nodded to his small friends. The rabbit family, the squirrel brothers, and the skunk family each stepped forward, tears in their eyes, and spoke from their hearts about the pain Rascal had caused them. They shared stories of how much these possessions meant to them, not because of their material value, but because of the memories and love attached to them. As Rascal listened to their heartfelt words, something began to stir within him. He realized that the joy he felt from hoarding these treasures paled in comparison to the happiness he saw in the eyes of the forest creatures when they shared with one another. Tears welled up in Rascal's eyes as he slowly started to return the stolen treasures. First, he gave back the wildflowers to the rabbit family, then the pine cones to the squirrel brothers, and finally, the berries to the skunk family. As he handed back each item, a warmth spread through Rascal's heart that he had never experienced before. It was the joy of giving, of sharing, of being a part of a loving community. Rascal had learned a valuable lesson, thanks to the patience and compassion of Barnaby and his small friends. From that day forward, Rascal transformed into a different raccoon. He became known as Rascal the Redeemed, and dedicated his life to spreading the message of sharing and generosity throughout the Pinecone Forest. He shared his own treasures with those in need and encouraged others to do the same. The Pinecone Forest flourished with newfound harmony, and the creatures within it learned that the true value of possessions lay not in their quantity but in the love and joy they could bring when shared. Barnaby, the generous grizzly bear, smiled as he watched his forest family grow stronger and closer with each act of sharing. And so, the legend of Barnaby and his small friends, along with Rascal the Redeemed, became a timeless tale of the power of sharing and the transformation it could bring to even the most selfish of hearts. In the heart of the Pinecone Forest, the spirit of generosity lived on, teaching generations of animals the importance of sharing, compassion, and the true meaning of wealth. Thank you for joining us on this magical journey through the world of storytelling. If you enjoyed this enchanting tale, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, like, and share it with fellow dreamers. And for even more captivating stories like these, make sure to subscribe to Story Tales and ring that notification bell so you never miss a single adventure. Until next time, may your imagination soar and your dreams come to life. Stay tuned for more stories.